Combination takes place, the truth is our guide, and the last expanse is where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us, everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bring shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this road we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic art.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand. Woke up with a smile, sunlight on my face. Gonna make it worthwhile. Feel the good vibes embrace. Step into the street, music in the air. Move into the beat, no worries to declare. We're chasing happiness in every way we can. Living in the moment like a never-ending dance. Chasing happiness, not a single day is planned. Together we are stronger, hand in hand. Laughing with my friends, echoes in the park, joy that never ends. Even when it's dark, stars shine in the night, mirror in our eyes. Everything feels right underneath the skies. We're chasing happiness in every way we can. Living in the moment like a never-ending dance. Chasing happiness, not a single day is planned. Together we are stronger, hand in hand. Hand in hand. Laughing with my friends, echoes in the park, joy that never ends. Even when it's dark, stars shine in the night, mirror in our eyes. Everything feels right underneath the skies. We're chasing happiness in every way we can. Living in the moment like a never-ending dance. Chasing happiness, not a single day is planned. Together we are stronger. woke up with a smile. In the skies they're cruising fast. Truths are buried in the past. Lights are blinking through the night. Secrets hidden out of sight. Stars reflecting coded blinks. Messengers from distant wings. Whispers travel through the air. Signs of life beyond despair. Lift the veil, no more disguise. We'll uncover all their lies. Truth embargo meets your end. On this journey we'll transcend. Mysteries in cosmic dust. Unveil secrets we can trust. Hidden realms of shadow play. Night gets brighter every day. Voices from the great unknown. Echoes of a world they've shown. Across galaxies they roam. We're not in this fight alone. Lift the veil, no more disguise. We'll uncover all their lies. Truth embargo meets your end. On this journey we'll transcend. What she said. Mysteries and cosmic dust. Unveil secrets we can trust. Truth embargo meets your end. On this journey we'll transcend.
Hello and welcome to SNX Radio. It's Saturday night and we have a very exciting special guest for you. Tonight we have Steve Bassett. And for those of you who aren't aware of who he is, and I don't think there's hardly anybody who isn't, he's a researcher, author, speaker, advocate, activist, political activist, prominent figure in disclosure movement, founder of the Paradigm Research Group, the PRG, a nonprofit organization, and co-founder of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. He's been leading the lobbyist efforts in Washington D.C. First lobbyist advocating for transparency and ET UFO disclosure. So, in 1966, to end the truth embargo via their official government disclosure confirmation. So he's pushing for the government to come forward and tell us UFOs are real and then push us into what he calls post-disclosure. Or to do that, we have to end the truth embargo. So right now he's working to help bring even more comprehensive congressional hearings in the U.S. House and Senate for a growing list of UFO witnesses. This includes an activist project titled Shiftstorm, hosted X Conference 2005. He's done just so much, and I'll have him tell you too, because he's got it set up through Shiftstorm, so you can contact your local representatives. But without further ado, let's bring Mr. Bassett on the stage. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Stephen.
Uh-oh. Oh, you know what? Maybe he's muted here.
James Carville
there
was
you
a very
go.
political figure.
I'm sorry, you were muted for just a second, so we got you unmuted there.
Am I back on?
You're back on, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's James Carville. Look, the Shiftstorm is already past its shelf life, but it's going to be repurposed here soon. So you have to go there now, but it's essentially set up to make it easy for people to connect to their representatives via Twitter or X, as opposed to emails, which is actually not an ineffective way to do it, and it's easier. And so I'm going to repurpose that soon, and we'll get that back up. It's not on the website right now.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll forget that.
But there's a lot going on
Now.
There's plenty
I'd like
going
to hear
on.
what's going on. Yeah. Tell us.
Sure.
What's got going on there?
Well, how can I put this? I think for most people, it's difficult to appreciate what's happening as they go about their lives, dealing with all the things they have to deal with. They're in the middle, right? They're literally in the game. But my job is to sort of pay attention to what's happening almost all the time. That's all I do. And what's happening now is extraordinary at a level which is really hard to compare it to something else. Historians will write huge amount of materials and books and so forth about this, certainly this last 10-year period and the next year or two. It's just off the charts in terms of its complexity, significance, and so forth. So what do we mean? We're going through a major global transformation in which a very long list of serious problems, which have been festering for decades and decades, for a long time, but certainly in the last 75 years, due to the fact that our population increased, since 1945, 10 billion more people have been born into this world. That's a total of then 12 billion. And there's 8.3 billion now still living, compared to 2.3 in 1945. So that 10 more billion people have come into the world. And during that period, instead of making the decision to step way back from country warfare, which we've been doing forever, take advantage of that moment. We set up the UN, tried to get some detente worldwide and settle back into some organized countries that are not constantly trying to cut each other's throat. We didn't do that. We took advantage of the nuclear weapons, everybody armed up, and then everybody, of course, was then at every other country's throat. We came up with the idea of mutual assured destruction, meaning we're going to build unbelievable numbers of these weapons, but we could never use them because everyone would die, etc., unless, of course, there was an accident. And the net result of all this is that since 1945, the sum total of all the countries and sovereign territories, which represents maybe about almost 200, and it represents the population of the planet, those governments have spent, adjusted for inflation, based on some research I've done, somewhere in the range of $150 trillion, not on food, or clothing, or shelter, not on infrastructure, right? On war, military, defense, bases, all of it. Probably 100,000, maybe 120,000 nukes have been built. Many have retired during that period. And of course, submarines, all 9 yards, $150 trillion. This is
all in the name of peace.
Yeah, all in the name of peace. Well, you see, that was going to be a problem, because the 10 billion people that have been born since we had 2.3 billion people in 1945 put enormous pressure on governments to provide, or at least have an organized society where people can live a life. And they didn't have the money. They spent the trillions of dollars on their war toys. And so these people suffered and died of starvation. They were used, enslaved, whatever. Billions of people have been extremely unhappy and didn't have the basic needs. At the same time, we were also ripping the environment apart, creating another range of problems. And that's 75 years of this situation, which has created a very, very bad outcome. So how do we account for this? How do we fix this? We got 8.5 billion, 3 billion people. We're still spending in the range of 10 trillion, maybe more a year. We don't have the resources to take care of everyone. That's creating terrorism, mass migration, unrest, political unrest. And what do? We're just continuing to do exactly the same as we have, except that things are now, the wheels are falling off. For those that are not paying attention, it's okay. Just forget everything I just said and just relax, have a couple drinks, go to bed. But for those that are paying attention, you know exactly what I am talking about. The wheels are really falling off, and things are going to go very, very bad. Now, this has happened before to many, many large civilizations and empires. There's been a study recently about virtually all of the major civilizations in the planet all collapsed at the end of the Stone Age or at the beginning of the Bronze Age. And there's reasons why that happened. Well, they're kind of being duplicated now. So history is going to be fascinated and extensively study what's happening right now and how it ends. If it ends badly, there'll just be less historians to write about it. But if it ends well, it will be one of the most profound times in human existence. Because in addition to the fact that all of the mistakes, blunders, waste that we have conducted as a civilization, the massive amounts of destruction and everything else, something else has been going on in parallel, which has just about come to fruition or to conclusion, a climax. And that is the fact that this planet is not alone. It's not the only living advanced planet civilization in the galaxy. There are many others, and some of them have visited us, maybe a lot, maybe going back a long time. But their current engagement of us in this era, where we are very advanced, high-tech civilization, we are spacefaring. So we're not the primitive or the relatively primitive ancients that they've hung out with like gods. This is something else. We are almost on a reasonable level with some of these civilizations. And so they have been pushing in various ways us to acknowledge this in an event that I call disclosure, capital D. Citizen awareness is not the same thing. Disclosure is a formal confirmation by nations, their heads of state, so that the doors open, the evidence and materials come out, the science is available to all, and we actually go into ultimately open dialogue with these extraterrestrials. That's a big deal. I'm not saying that the engagement of the ancient Egyptians, if they had contact with ETs, wasn't a big deal. Maybe it built a couple of pyramids, but it's nothing compared to what's happening right now. So these things are occurring simultaneously, and it gets better because they're interconnected. And so what do I mean? Well, we're talking about a 75-year period right after World War II, where the human race had a chance to get its act together and not just spend the rest of its existence slaughtering each other and wasting trillions of dollars on basically crap, instead of providing a life and a place to live and a way to function as an intelligent human being to the whole human race and not a few elite. So it's about the same time period. But after we dropped the bombs in Hiroshima, crap started turning up, being seen around the world. This wasn't really noted because it was back then, in those first couple of years, 46, 47. It wasn't too noted, but there was apparently enough activity that a couple of them crashed at Roswell. And at that point, the United States got the vehicles and the dead bodies and one living body, one living ET. So at that point, the game was on, right? So it's 1947. And the ET issue is now absolutely in play. And a lot of what's going to happen next depends on what the United States chooses to do. And what the United States chooses to do is to embargo the issue after some consideration and make a decision to defer the truth on this getting out, embargo it, deny it, confuse, obfuscate, whatever the hell you got to do. But the people don't have a need to know or right to know at this point. And so we're going to embargo it. And then what happened after that is the nuclear arms race, which puts the world under greater and greater threat each year after 1947, relentlessly. All right, in which we had near misses, we had some accidents, and we could have had nuclear exchanges, but we somehow got through it. but we shouldn't be patting ourselves on the back. This goes on for until like the mid-1980s, and we've got about 80,000 nukes in stockpiles and on launch readiness. It's getting pretty ugly. And then something extraordinary happened. The blood feud between the United States and the Soviet Union in particular was resolved. The Soviet Union stepped back, released 14 of its republics, a huge amount of people in landmass, though they still have the largest landmass in the world. It's the Russian Republic. They outlawed the Communist Party. They brought in religion, and generally started to move toward the West. This was an opportunity of a lifetime. China was watching, as it always does, to see which way the wind blows. But we blew it. The people that just can't live without war. War is their raison d'etre. Made sure that it wasn't going to work. And so before you know it, we have a new Cold War underway of a different type. Proxy wars are taking place. Hundreds of thousands of people are being slaughtered. And we were on that path. So what was also going on is the ETs continued to escalate their presence as we went down that path by allowing themselves to be seen, viewed, photographed. Extensive contact work that they were doing. They were not particularly, I think maybe initially they were keeping it, how would you say, under wraps, but they started letting the wraps come off. And so contactees were starting to report their memories were not blocked, or they're able to reclaim them. And suddenly thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people were, mostly privately, with letters and emails to researchers, discussing how they're in direct contact with ETs. But at the same time, they're doing other things. And probably the most profound thing that the ETs have done in this 75-year history that the historians are just going to go gaga over was they started turning our nuclear weapons off in 66, 67, and several other times later on, though those were pretty much covered up, as well as in Russia or Soviet Union at that time. How many times nuclear weapons have been shut down is not clear. It could be as many as 12 or 13, but it's at least 3 or 4. But there's also 2 instances where they turned them on, meaning they set them toward launch mode and then only stopped that just before the launch, thus leaving everybody in the base with a heart attack. This is the most significant thing they've done. But the next most significant thing they've done during this period, repeatedly, decade after decade, is they've been giving messages, basically psionic messages, telepathically into the minds of contactees, and most notably school children, where they land next to the schoolyard and give them these images of very great destruction, which apparently is implying that we're doing that. We're going to do that. We're going to destroy the whole thing. And then these kids are living with that and growing up with that. It's kind of like seeding the point into people so that they may participate. I don't know, but that's well documented. And so the point that I'm heading toward is somewhat grand and yet not illogical. That we have pretty much put ourselves in a corner where the likely outcome is going to be catastrophic. It will kill huge numbers of people, and I assure you the biosphere, Gaia, will be thrilled. Thank God we got rid of a bunch of you people. You're ruining everything, right? But it'll also do great destruction to the environment and create chaos and, again, more deaths for decades and decades and decades. All right, so at the same time that is happening, the ET disclosure process is moving towards a breakthrough point. We are this close to it. We've been there for a while. So we have these 2 things going on together. Both of them are monumentally significant, and they're connected. That's why I say this is an extraordinary historical time, no matter how bad you think it is and how badly it's affecting you. Like maybe you and all of your friends got fired last week without notice. That's not good. Or the economy is going to take you out. I don't know, but there's a lot of pain going on. But it is part of these extraordinary events. And the final point is this. It's incredibly frustrating for me, and why I'm having to take extra medication, that we are so close to disclosure, and then more upheaval and disruption and potentially catastrophic behavior is preventing it from getting the deal done. In other words, I believe disclosure is the only way out of this 75-year box we built for the human race. But the things that have helped build that box are now preventing closing the deal. And so I'm on a lot of extra medication. Let me tell you, I'm not as good. So that's kind of what's happening now. What's the latest in this? Well, first of all, there are groups forming like crazy. 501c3s, big, substantial monies being donated, like the disclosure, the UAP Disclosure Fund, and New Paradigm Institute, and the Soul Foundation. PRG is converted to a nonprofit in order to raise some funds so we can really start doing much more than it has been doing. A major international conference may be announced very soon, and by major I mean mega. Okay, and Nancy Mace, one of the key people on the House Oversight Subcommittee, that has held two substantial hearings. Along others hearings have been held, but the two big ones were Nancy Mace and Tim Burchett. But she just announced that while she had hoped to get them into a sensitive compartmented information facility, SCIF, at the 1st of April, she is going to hopefully do it very soon, and she's going to bring in not only Luis Elizondo and David Grush, but also Arrow, and by that I assume she means Kozlowski, current director of Arrow, into a SCIF where you could ask the right questions and people could give you the right answers. That is in the works. Meanwhile, the House Full Oversight Committee set up a task force on declassifying federal secrets. It's the only task force of its kind ever done. It's got a 6-month, window, and it has a director, Anna Paulina Luna. It has a mandate. If it needs subpoena power, that could be provided by Chairman Comer of the Oversight Committee. They've already secured a substantial number of JFK documents, which was on the menu. There's more coming. They're also seeking MLK documents as well as withheld documents regarding the assassination of Robert Kennedy. That's pretty significant. But UAPs and the disclosure is on their agenda as well. And so we had the first task force ever devoted to that. That's underway. Witnesses are coming forward, many privately, but their numbers keep increasing. Some may not prove to be valid, and that's unavoidable, but still interesting. So that's going on. Senator Schumer or Senator Rounds, possibly with Schumer, are going to resubmit the full UAP Disclosure Act with eminent domain anytime. They're going to resubmit it again. And I think they're going to keep resubmitting it again until it gets voted on, passed rather. And that is the major bill. It's the total package. Any president who comes forward and discloses after that bill is passed is standing on a very solid platform, so that if the president says, I can confirm to you we're not alone, that bill provides immediately for material, documents, secrets, and everything else to start coming forward for vetting and then being placed in the National Archive and provided to the public very quickly. And so the whole post-disclosure world is underway. Now, I would prefer that a significant hearing took place, which could be Nancy Mace's next hearing, which could include the nuclear shutdown witnesses who've wanted to testify for 30 years. I would prefer that a hearing like that had taken place and that bill was passed before a president stepped forward, because that would be orderly, logical, it'd be a little more appropriate, but these are not normal times. So let's put appropriate off to the side. The fact is that the president of the United States can do it anytime he or she wants. 13 presidents have chosen so far not to do that, but the current president, the 14th president, is starting to show indications that he might do it, might very well do it. We have hints, we have some things we've noticed that seem to imply it's on the agenda, but a lot of other things are on that same agenda. And these involve the more traditional things that are sort of creating issues in our society. And so the disclosure thing is kind of being pushed aside a little bit. Nevertheless, current president is a type of individual that does not need a hearing or a law passed. He can just do it. He can call up some of his appointed people at the top agencies and say what's going on, ask around. They come back and say, that looks like David Grush was right. Boom. Comes out and says, look, we got non-human tech, non-human bodies. That's disclosure. Boom. Right then. That's disclosure, capital D. And in that instance, we're in the post-disclosure world forever. Okay? They may even divide history up into BD and AD, right? Before disclosure and after disclosure. Other heads of state will jump in very quickly. So we're teetering on that possibility while we're teetering on all kinds of major foreign and military issues, which might even include a use of a tactical nuke or something. So it's heavy. It's about that's why I'm had to take a lot of medication. And I said, best I can do. So that's kind of the update. What are your thoughts?
Boy, people seems like are getting tired of the bureaucracy. I mean, we had Project Blue Book, and between that and what we've had now, you had yourself 40 people come forward with your disclosure. How many more credible people do we have to come forward before they have to admit this is going on? When you can stop, like you said, end wars, you can end famine, disease, hunger, the energy crisis. It's more than people are having experiences. It's more than that it's happening. It's what it can do. The end result. I'm
Sure.
bored with you with what you're trying to do here.
Look, we already have more than enough people come forward.
Yeah.
More than enough people with substantial credentials say there's ETs here. So it's not about how many more will come forward. What is needed now is to get the Congress up to speed. That's happened. Have some hearings. That's happened. Get the stigma pretty much stripped away from the issue finally. That's happened. All right. And at the same time, get more and more people on board from within the military intelligence community. Not that you're going to know, it's just that everything is happening is starting to shift their thinking. And just keep moving towards the goalpost, which is, again, disclosure. Now, passing you say, what can we do? Look, passing the ET Disclosure Act, understand, it was the UAP Disclosure Act, rather. That's not an accidental name. That was Senator Schumer and Mike Rounds letting us know, we hear you. We know that what this is about, right? And so we're going to call it the Disclosure Act because all of you know what disclosure is. And so that could be passed. We need that.
So are we still gaining momentum? Are we going to get somewhere now, this time, do you think, considering what we've done in the past?
The one thing I can say is we've been through extraordinary times over the last 7 years, certainly, and upheaval, political chaos at a level that hasn't been seen since probably the turn of the 20th century, back in the early 1900s, leading up to World War I. But it may even be surpassing that. We are in extraordinary political upheaval right now. So many things are happening at once, it's hard to even assess it, though the pundits will try. And it's causing great concern. People are very upset. Nations are upset. Leaders are upset. And we still have thousands of nuclear weapons on launch ready. So there's that. All right. Now, this political upheaval is not surprising. We've worked decades and decades to create as much chaos as we possibly can. One bad decision after another, you know? And so the idea that now the wheels are falling off should not surprise anybody. It'll be like the wheels are falling. Now, what are you going to do about that? Good point. And so just in the last few years, as disclosure has been moving forward, as you know, many profound things, including a global pandemic, which if we hadn't had the technology and able to use it and spend the money, could have easily killed 500 million people. But it didn't. The next one might, though. So we had that, and we've had a complete ignition of the Middle East conflict again. Right now, B-2 bombers are being amassed at Tierra del Fuego, set to bomb Iran at any time. I go on, there's other stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. And at the same time, the risk of using nuclear weapons is probably higher than it's ever been. And that's been asserted by a number of people. It doesn't get much worse than this. Now, again, I don't tell people this because I just love making people uneasy or, trying to shame them because why don't you know all this? No, not at all. People have to live their lives. They simply can't be engaged. It'll overwhelm you. It will overwhelm you. These historical tidal waves happening, and all you want to do is not drown. I get it. But that's why you have activists. It's why you have investigative journalists. They're the ones who try to see what's going on, and at least give you an idea of what's happening. So if you have a chance to affect it in some way, you might just do that by putting pressure on your elected officials, or if you're in a place where you don't elect officials, there's other ways to put pressure. You can march, you can yell, you can make song, whatever the hell, but you've got to do something. But more important, it's to let the people in government know that we know, that some of us out here clearly know what's going on. And we know the decisions you have to make, and we want you to make the right ones. That's pretty much what activists do. We have more activism in this field than we've had in the past. I was the first person to ever register a lobbyist. Nobody insane. It wasn't insane to do that. Now there are a number of people that are registered lobbyists, and there's probably going to be more. And more activism is happening in this issue. So here we are. I mean, this is the update. I'm not understating it. And if it goes really badly, everybody in this country will know. And everyone in this country will have a, a challenge to face that may be more than they can handle. And history will look back and nod its head like, wow, that's too bad. It really went badly, but that's what happens. And that'll be our legacy. We screwed everything up, wouldn't fix it, then blew everything up and blamed everyone else ourselves.
So true, too. What are your thoughts on Canada and them releasing? They released videos of a crash, allegedly, and they're talking about disclosure, too. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure, that's good. We don't need any more videos or evidence, but every little piece that does come out is both a blessing and a curse. Every new little piece comes out for people that don't know much about the issue, kind of lets them know, hey, there's something going on. There's something going on. On the other hand, people that know about this issue very well and know its history, they say, oh, we've seen that. That's the same old thing. It's the same old thing. Stop doing it. I get it, right? But all of this, because the stigma is almost gone, it's much easier for things to come forward. The media is covering it like crazy. I've got 7,000 linked articles on my site in the Paradigm Research Group in the Print Media Archive just since 2017, 7,000 mainstream public articles, journalism. It's covered heavily. Everything that happens is helpful, but there are certain things that need to happen. It needs to be more organized, and that's what's been going on with the hearings, with the committee, with the task force, with people like Danny Sheehan and others that are dealing with this on the inside, and the formation of basically what are going to be post-disclosure entities that are being formed for the post-disclosure, like the Civil Foundation and so forth that I've mentioned, New Paradigm Institute. Other entities are being formed. I know of a few. So part of the world right now is trying to cross over to disclosure. Part of the world is trying to settle old grievances. Part of the world is trying to go back to an earlier time. There's a lot of countries, there's a lot of religions, there's a lot of people. And so the idea of cohesive global interaction or cooperation is still difficult. However, many think, as I do, that a disclosure event, above anything else, has the chance to bring nations and religions together in common purpose, not to defend ourselves against the indefensible, but to address it as a species, as a planet, hopefully in open contact with ECTs, and maybe go to places we've never imagined before, reach visions we couldn't possibly have done before. Disclosure is the door to the future. If we don't open that door, there is no future.
Yeah,
Am I going to?
absolutely. No, no, I'm taking in everything you're saying. I'm just wondering what you talked about a bill that they were going to in place, and it's called disclosure. So I'm just
UAP
wondering what that
Disclosure Act.
entails.
The UAP Disclosure Act. It's up on the website. You can see it. It's up on the internet. They submitted it in 2023. It got cut in half, but there is a half that is in place. It's helpful. It's actually started some things, but a major portion of the bill was taken out, was resubmitted in full the next year, and then withdrawn, and it's about to resubmit again. There are 4 pieces of legislation that have been put into law since 2020. And prior to that, there had been none, 0. And they're trying to get the 5th in. They're going to submit it again. Maybe it'll pass this time. So for those that don't understand the history of this issue, they're unable to recognize these transcending firsts and how much has happened. So for a lot of, particularly the younger generations, they see the last 7 years as the normal. It's like, well, so what? What's going to happen? Why should anything change? But then they don't understand that the 70 years prior to that. So they don't understand how powerful that what has happened in the last 70 years is. I do. My job is to let other people know and to try to encourage others to act and to get involved, not only in getting disclosure, but also the post-disclosure world, which that's when things get really underway. You want to have things to do. You want to have causes, issues. You want to get engaged. You want to volunteer. You maybe get paid. The post-disclosure world is going to be like a reset of the globe. A lot of the same problems will be there, but a whole range of new possibilities suddenly come into play. And nothing, of course, would help everybody more than just simple cooperation between nations and stop this zero-sum game crap we've been playing forever. We must rise and you must fail. You must fail so we can rise. And if you don't get that, we'll have to kill a bunch of you until you give up. We've been doing that for 12,000 years. And now we can't do it anymore. And so I am a disclosure advocate. I am an anti-war activist. I'm an anti-nuclear activist. But I focus on the ET issue. But I assure you, those things are directly in line behind those things. Behind the first, we need a very growing coterie of disclosure activists, but even more anti-war and anti-nuclear activists all around the world. But again, it's a little late. Hopefully that'll happen. Right now, our fate is in the hands of some individuals that want to go to war right now. So we'll see. And so we're kind of teetering right there. Which way are we going to go? And again, it's stressful.
What do you think is the holdup? Truly, the holdup. I know they talk about the people and about everything else, but I just feel like we're to a point where it has become, like you said, the stigma has been dropped, that people are aware and they're open to it. So what truly, I know that their technology, I know all this other stuff, but what do you think is the biggest barrier in all this? Because it doesn't make sense.
The barrier is that we need governmental action on this to do it right. And the government is involved in a whole host of other stuff, all right, that it considers extremely important. China is involved with a bunch of stuff it considers important. Russia, the same thing. United States, I can name other countries. There are other things on their calendar that are on their agenda, which they just consider more important than this. Or they may kind of know this is more important, but that has simply got to be attended to. But the most important point is that during all of this chaos and all of the madness has happened over the last 7 years around the world, a lot of more dead civilians and blown up countries and buildings, whatever else, and other political chaos. The disclosure movement has never stopped moving forward. It's just slowed down, and it certainly hasn't gone back. 1969 and the Robertson panel and the destruction of Blue Book and NICAP took the issue way back. But that's not happening. It just slowed down. And so we are, this particular event disclosure, which is a political act by a head of state, is competing with 7 or 8 major global issues of potentially great destruction. And so it has to, make a case for itself. Why should you pay attention to us as opposed to this other stuff? And that's just the nature of things. You just don't. Nobody's just going to get out of your way unless you just run to the end zone and make a touchdown. You're going to have to fight your way there. Right now, we're getting some resistance, but we're not stopped. We're continuing to make some progress every month.
Well, it seems like what's slowing it all down is getting that secured skiff that's, why does it take so long to get a secured skiff like this, to have these conversations?
I don't know if it's slowing us down. It's just one of many, many things that we could do. The difficulty getting a skiff is that everybody that's going to be in it's got to be greenlit for clearances and any agencies or whoever they're working for and so forth. It's not just information gathering, it's also pretty political. And so there was resistance. And where that resistance is coming from is not clear, but it's probably the DOD. So they didn't want Grush in a skiff. I know that because if Grush is taken into a skiff, he may be able to go further than he even did in the hearing in front of the Oversight Subcommittee. There, he simply said, we have the crash vehicle and non-human bodies. He could go further. And so the DOD would rather that didn't happen. But Nancy Mace is a very intense and persistent person. And so she's not, many of the people that are in Congress now, whether you like them or don't like them, they're not saddled with a lot of the traditional concerns and protocols. They're sort of a new generation, as you might say, and they're not going to necessarily abide by those, which opens up possibilities that weren't there, whether you like them or not, but sometimes that's what it takes. So again, there's no one thing that's slowing us down, but political upheaval, potential for war, nuclear war, and major foreign engagements, such as in Ukraine and in Israel, Gaza, as well as the concerns over China and Taiwan. These are big deals. From the standard point, they're standard big deals. Ships could be involved, missiles could fly. But the ET issue is every bit or bigger than these, but it's a little harder for those that are tasked with our national security or political leadership to quite get that. Maybe if they spent 5 months studying the entire history of this phenomenon, all the research has been done, read all of Richard Dolan's books and all that, they might just go, oh, whoa. But they haven't done that. So that's another job we have. We have to try to educate these people, whether they want to be educated or not.
Yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head. And has there been any country that you're aware of that has come out and said, hey, this UFOs are real, they are here, ET is here?
No head of state has ever done this. There's some countries that have held a hearing maybe. There's been some action in South America, a little Brazil, a little Peru, not much in Canada, but some. There was some action out of France at one point, but again, nothing major. But it's not that they're not aware of it. They are, I assure you. Mm-hmm. Any of the nuclear nations, as well as the more developed countries, are aware of the ET presence. They cannot not be. Okay, I mean that sounds crazy, but it's not. It's actually common sense. Okay, you're the government. Whatever the people are seeing, you can see even more. Whatever tech the people have to assess it, you have far more. Right? You have militaries, you have space satellites, you have everything. Of course they do. And then the question is, do they act on it? And they've chosen not to. And I know why. Pretty much why. Is that their existence depends on in a nuclear standoff, primarily between the U.S., China, and Russia. And if that standoff breaks down, it's over for all of them. And so they don't like to upset us unnecessarily. And one of the things that would upset us is this one of those countries try to cut in line and try to be the first nation to confirm to their people that we're not alone and drag out some evidence to prove it. They've chosen not to do that. I get it. I'm not all that critical. It's just a common sense. The circumstances are what they are. They don't have nukes. We do. So if we are their shield, and therefore the American people, the American president, rather decide when to go. Now, I can't say that about Russia or China. Russia or China could end the disclosure embargo anytime it wants to. And I preferred that our country was first, but apparently the people in the Pentagon are not worried about Russia or China stepping out on this. Maybe they know something I don't.
Well, if another country did step forward first and admitted it, like I said, it would be that they exist, that the technology exists, and the beings and how it can change the world. Why wouldn't a country want to step forward and do that and be the one to change the world? Because they're making too much money off the war machine. It always goes back to money.
Again, the reason, I've said this many times, the reason for the West to hold back is the U.S. wants to hold back, and they're going along with this. But Russia and China may have very different approach, because Russia and China are autocratic states. One has the most people in the world, the other has the most land in the world. The two of them together are quite a formidable thing. But they're autocratic states. In other words, the government is, or the society is based upon fealty to the state and the ideology of the state. And when you're in that kind of a country, if you're running government that way, anything that could stir up people's thinking or worldview and distract them from a fealty to the state ideology is not what they want. It's not conducive. The confirmation of an ET presence would have a profound effect on the people of those nations, China and Russia. And they may start looking at their place in their countries and in their political society very differently. And suddenly the autocracy starts to come apart. And so I think those two nations have simply not disclosed in their own self-interest.
Sorry, my dog was getting ready to bark there. So it seems like we're getting to a point where of no return. Like you mentioned, I've heard you say before, a clock that's like what's the clock you mentioned? I heard you talk about before.
The doomsday clock was recently moved from 90 seconds to midnight to 80 seconds, which is the closest it's ever been. And it's accompanied by a report from the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists where they say we've never been closer to the use of nuclear weapons. A lot of people think that midnight on the doomsday clock is all-out nuclear war with all the missiles are flying and everything. No, that could happen, of course. What the midnight on the doomsday clock means is that a nuke has been used in a war theater. So if one of the parties in the Ukraine-Russia war were to fire off a tactical nuke, just one, the moment that exploded, that area would be in DEFCON 1, and that would be a nuclear war. And therefore, the doomsday clock would go to midnight, which is, again, not good. Now, then the question is, what happens after that? In other words, is it going to be a localized nuclear war that shuts down in a week? Or is it going to spread? Will it become a global thermonuclear catastrophe? Don't know. But it's still midnight. The only question is, how bad will midnight be? Now, if they shut it all down and we step back, then they may move the clock from midnight to, again, 50 or 60 seconds to midnight. It's fairly straightforward. And right now, so you might say, well, look, maybe it'll just be a tactical nuke, and maybe people will say, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Just take it back. Can I have a mulligan? Maybe. But most of the analysts, I think, and certainly the Pentagon, don't think it's going to happen that way. It's just not the way we roll. And so not even a single use, which brings us to another reason why it's so close to midnight, is that mutual assured destruction works well between countries. Meaning this country is not going to fire nukes at another country because they nuke them and everybody wins or loses. That's the same. It doesn't apply to terrorists. Terrorists are totally different from countries. Terrorist organizations want to accomplish something, and they don't have borders per se. They have ideologies. And so a terrorist, an organization, could get hands on a nuke of small, maybe even medium size. Anybody that thinks that's not possible is really whistling by the graveyard. If they get one of those, they could set it off in a city that they don't like. And then immediately 300 other organizations would probably claim credit for it. And then who do you attack? Who do you nuke after that? What? You don't. I mean, so it's a very, very tricky situation, and everybody's going to think that somebody's going to nuke somebody, and that sets off an international nuclear war. So, and the idea, so what I'm trying to say is that a terrorist group is far more likely to ignite a nuclear weapon than a country. And a country knows they're going to know where the country comes. That's why you track when any rockets are launched, they track the trajectories, and they know exactly where it comes from and where it's going to land. But a nuke going off in a rental car, a rental van in the middle of a city, been parked there for a couple of days, you don't know. Oh, you'll try. You'll get the going, and you'll be doing the surveillance and stuff and checking cameras, and you're going to eventually come forward and say, yeah, that nuke came from this country and the other country. Are you kidding me? It's not our. I mean, it is an insult to our galaxy that this civilization, this far into the game, is acting this stupidly, insanely, immaturely. It's kind of an insult. The galaxy is embarrassed for it. Has to apologize to other galaxies, the Earth, hoping that maybe we'll get it together.
What do you think about AI and the part AI plays in all this?
AI is another example of massive change that's coming that we're not ready for. Mm-hmm. It's like if we had taken care of people, we had to spend $150 trillion on all that war stuff, we'd have massive amounts of funds to build infrastructure and create other avenues and ways that people could work and so forth. But no, there's 1 billion people in this world that barely have a place to live. And so we're up against the wall. Now in comes AI, and AI basically says, hey, you don't need people. You just need us, me, AI. And an entire corporate world. Democratic capitalism is based upon absolute profit. And few things cost more in any business than people. Every person you replace, you make money. And so overall, the equation does not look good.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Let's just say that we need an expanded world. We need to really expand our options and possibilities. Disclosure provides that possibility. New tech, new possibilities. So that we could blunt the effect of AI. But there is one possible good use for AI, and that is if we get disclosure, we're going to end up with open contact. And maybe some behind-the-scenes contact. And we're going to be trying to communicate with more advanced civilizations, and they're going to be trying to provide information they may want, hopefully, that will do that to us. AI could come in real handy in order to understand, to interact, and so forth, absorb information from a species that may be 40,000 years ahead of us, even 1,000 years ahead. And so AI could be a great tool. But like every tool that humans have ever created, every one, including the screwdriver and the hammer and scissors, every tool is capable of doing cool stuff. Scissors, you can make a dress. Hammer, you can build a house. You can also kill people with all three, and people do. The scissor serial killer. Oh boy, still only. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with nuclear physics. It's a tool. We could use it to create energy, or we can make bombs. Every tool that you could conceive of has a both destructive and a constructive purpose. So AI can be constructive or destructive. Now, the human race, it's always got to explore that destructive option. We just can't not do it. Because remember, we're always being threatened by other humans. We're always under threat. We're constantly worried and constantly under threat. It's always existential. And it's a zero-sum game. I'm sorry, I gotta succeed. That means I'm gonna fail. And that means I gotta take some of my tools and pretty much wipe you off the face of the earth. Whatever. We just can't get out of it. Religion has tried from time to time, but then religions get corrupted, and it's religions are doing the same thing. And then there's other groups that try to bring love and peace and meditation and whatever, and that's fine. It's all good. But has it gotten out of this? No, it hasn't. It's going to take a lot more than that. And we don't have much more time. And I am not blowing smoke. We are up against the wall. And the idea of making people lose sleep at night or trying to be, the what do they call it? The person that's always,
Appeasing,
yeah.
trying to appease somebody.
I know it's not cool in a way. It's certainly something you don't do at parties, and I don't. But the fact is, that's the case. And you can believe it or not believe it. You can care about it or not care about it. You can change your life or not change your life. But that's the case. It's almost over, folks. Either do something or you will not even want to be here. Right? Because after a serious nuclear war, you don't want to survive it. You really don't. You want to go in the first couple of minutes. And there's other things that are coming. We're not ready for more plagues. We're doing stuff that's going to create more plagues. We're going to run out of water. We're destroying the oceans. And quickly, too. I mean, we have to wait a long time for this. I mean, it could be any time. It's a shame, really, because so much promise.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I'd love to pick up a conversation. We are at the top of the hour, so we're going to take a little bit of a 5-minute break. And I have an abundance of questions to ask you.
I may have some more time. It depends on something that's going on right here, but I'll let you know. You're going to take a break, and I'll check on my situation, okay?
Perfect. Sounds good. I'll go ahead and... So, SNX Radio, we are going on with the top of the hour break here. So we'll give you some music to listen to while we are away. So let the music play.
Gonna make it worthwhile. Feel the good vibes embrace. Step into the street. Music in the air. Move into the beat. No worries to declare. We're chasing happiness and never ever can. Living in the moment like a never-ending dance. Chasing happiness, not a single day's planned. Together we are stronger, hand in hand. Laughing with my friends. Echoes in the park. Joy that never ends. Even when it's dark. Stars shine in the night. Mirror in our eyes. Everything feels right underneath the skies. We're chasing happiness and never will again. Living in the moment like a never-ending dance. Chasing happiness, not a single day's planned. Together we are stronger, hand in hand. Hand in hand. Laughing with my friends. Echoes in the park. Joy that never ends. Even when it's dark. Stars shine in the night. Mirror in our eyes. Everything feels right underneath the skies. We're chasing happiness and never will again. Living in the moment like a never-ending dance. Chasing happiness, not a single day's planned. Together we are stronger, hand in hand. Hand in hand. Hand in hand. Woke up with a smile, sunlight on my face. gonna make it worthwhile. Feel the good vibes embrace. Unraveling the mystery, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, some shadows aside, in the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Submission Next Quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
From the Submission Next Quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves surround us, everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this road we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand.
All right, and welcome back to SNX Radio, and we have as our special guest tonight, Steven Bassett. So we are having a pretty good conversation prior to the break on what's going to take to disclosure. Yes, and now would be a great time for questions. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to start it off. What do you think the people can do, or what kind of movement can we make as, to going forward that will get this moving in the right direction?
Not the traditional kinds of movements that you see, but supporting organizations like the New Paradigm Institute, for instance, and Paradigm Research Group and others, Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. Support money can really make a difference when you're talking about activism on the front line, I assure you. Marches, that's not going to happen. There are other people marching for other things right now. They're appropriate, but not this issue. Letting your congressman know you support the disclosure process, the Disclosure Act, giving support to the subcommittee and the people on that committee that have been really spearheading this issue, sending tweets, sending the email, praising them for their work. This is about what citizens can do right now.
Yes.
And we're doing okay, but it's not like a normal activist movement. There are several other activist movements underway, more traditional, and millions of people are marching in the streets. And that's another thing that complicates the disclosure process, because these are big things going on. And that's important, but millions of people are not going to march in the street on this issue. It is a very different kind of issue. That doesn't mean it's not more important. It is. So pay attention, praise your representatives for getting involved, encourage them to get involved, and support financially the institutions that are literally trying to get this done. Every activist movement have had institutions that were heavily funded in order to achieve the goal. This has been the least funded activist movement in history. because of the stigma that was so heavily laid on to this for 5 decades that everybody's, I can't touch it. I don't want to be tainted. I don't want to be embarrassed, all kind of stuff. And it's really not the case anymore. So your financial support, and everybody's 501c3s, would be the most important thing you could do.
We have a question from Chris. Steve, do you really believe that religious leaders and power brokers will let society ever know the truth?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not their role to do that. The truth will come out after disclosure from heads of state, not from religious leaders, and the public will have great demands, and then the religions have to decide how they're going to deal with this new world. Now, the Catholic Church has made it quite clear it's all ready to do that, and that's about $1 billion. Well, you count the Catholic and the Christian world's pretty okay, but the Catholic Church certainly. The Asian religions have no indications of having a problem with that. That leaves the Muslim world, which is about 1.7 billion, and I don't think that in terms of their belief systems that there's a real problem, but that particular group of people are under a lot of pressure. They're dealing with a whole lot. They have a lot on their plate. And so it may be a little more inconvenient for them to have to embrace this post-disclosure, but I don't think they'll hold back. I think they'll get on board. There's nothing to, by any of the major religions, have nothing to win by objecting to the post-disclosure world and the presence of ETs, which will be proven is already proven, but then the proof will go to a whole other level as stuff stops coming out of government after government. There's nothing to gain by pushing back at it, and they won't. Religions have been around for these thousands of years because they're very adaptable, and people really need religion, and so I wouldn't worry about religion.
So I guess what is a post-disclosure? Once the president or somebody comes out and says, hey, aliens are real, UFOs are real, what happens from there post-disclosure?
A lot. A lot.
Yeah, like walk me into it, because
hundreds of thousands of books will be written about what happens after disclosure. There'll be lots of press conferences. There'll be a lot of statements from world leaders. There will be some legislation. There will be organizations forming left and right to deal and address it. There will be huge public interest. Hollywood will step in with endless streaming documentary series, and hopefully they will call upon the people that have been doing all the work these last 70 years to do that instead of just bypassing us. It's already happening. More sci-fi movies with ETs in them will be more realistic, and so forth. New science and tech will become available. If we get into open contact with ETs, we might get even more science and tech, which could help to deal with diseases, genetic problems, genetic issues, genetic research, as well as energy sources and so forth. It's a whole nother world. It will, in short order, be a whole nother world. Some people think that just the iPhone and game box created a new world. Well, it kind of did. It's a different place. I certainly, a little hard for me to kind of get into it, but that's trivial compared to the new world that will emerge in a post-disclosure reality. And that's about as far as I can go. All I can say is it will be big, and I hope you get to live as many years as possible in that era, because it's been nothing like it.
What kind of controls do you think that they're going to put on this? Like, I see AI, and then I'm thinking, how are we going to be able to determine the difference? Because we're going through the 5th industrial revolution.
Well, that's a separate matter. I was talking about disclosure. AI is another matter. Yeah. It's just more technology and a tool. If we have to decide legally how to use this tool. We have to decide how to regulate it. We'll give it, what guardrails to put up, or we won't. But we have that ability if we choose to do it. We usually always kind of choose poorly. But whatever, these tools and this science is going to come along. The problem is not new science and new tech. The problem is we haven't built the proper social structures to deal properly with new science and new tech. And so it's always a curse and a blessing, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I'm just wondering, with the use of AI and the government having control of the narrative, how that doesn't ever end well for anybody. So I was curious.
If the government does that, it's abuse. If people use AI to create fake this and fake that and create havoc, then it's abuse.
Yeah, I agree.
What can I say? And the government can abuse it. People can abuse it. It's a tool, an incredible tool. Science fiction writers have been writing about it for the last 70 years. The question is, are we smart enough to say, wait a minute, let's figure out how to use this tool for the good, for the best overall, or how do we use it? Do we weaponize it? Do we use it to get political power? Do we use it to become a trillionaire because a billionaire just doesn't cut it? I don't know. But it's worth at least mentioning that this is a decision we as a society will make. And in a relatively democratic country, you can have some role in that decision making, though people are starting to just give up at this point, just throw their hands in the air and say there's nothing I can do, and just let themselves be rolled over. But that's not just people; it's bad politics. The political system is also breaking down. Everything is breaking down. So certainly the political system is not, immune from that. So it's it's not good.
No, I agree with you. It's making I used to be, we'd be able to analyze videos or we'd be able to analyze things, but now it's with AI, it's almost become indistinguishable between one another. So
all they have to do is pass a law that you must state anytime anything that you are any information you're giving, however you're giving it, video, whatever. If it contains AI, in other words, actually has AI product in it content in it, you have to acknowledge that. You have to say this contains AI. That needs to be a legal requirement. Now, if you use AI to do your research, right, and what have you, that you shouldn't have to say anything about that. That's on you. You decide how you do your research. But then if you create an image to support the research and you put that image up, okay, but you have to state this was either completely or partially AI generated. It's real simple. And if you don't do that, you should be subject to penalty under law. This is not a difficult bill to pass. Will they do it? I don't know. Yeah, the failure of our government to not pass bills we need to pass is probably really well known throughout the entire Milky Way. And people say, oh yeah, that's the Earth. We heard about them. Yeah, they can't do shit.
You're right. What's stopping them from coming forward and saying, "Hey, we're here, we're real"?
Because it's not their agenda. It's not on their agenda. Does not, in this point, include that. I'm not saying it couldn't happen in the future, but clearly, force majeure. Here we are, whether you like it or not, is not on their agenda yet. It's that simple. If they wanted to, they could. They choose not to. Why? I hope one day they'll tell us. But they will come forward eventually. Yes, dear?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry. It's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on Robert Dean, who said that they're walking up and down the halls of our Pentagon, that they are, what your understanding is.
You can't rule out that possibility. You can't.
Okay.
I'm not inclined to think it's true, but you can't rule it out. We just don't know. And that's troubling. But we don't know.
Yeah.
And some ETs look very much like us. So, again, without disclosure, it's just nothing but a speculation generating unnecessary anxiety. And anybody can make these claims, which is fine. I don't have any problem with it. Under the truth embargo, really, it's hard to nail anything down. So all I can say is it could very well be true, and it could very well not be true. So I just kind of set it aside and focus on what we clearly can deal with, that we do know surely about, and not and leave these other matters to be resolved in a post-disclosure era.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot. It's a lot to sort through, and it's a lot to. And I see you watch on YouTube, and everybody's having these fake, prank your parent or so and so, and then you see the response of them, and it is a little bit alarming, to think that how this will actually come about. It usually comes about how we least expect it to come about, but.
You mean the abuse of it is alarming?
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. But it's going to be some, and just prepare for it. Just understand it's going to happen. There's going to be AI used to try to destroy somebody's reputation with fake videos and whatever the hell. There's unlimited mischief that can be done. We need to get used to that possibility so we don't overreact, right?
Right.
Some laws need to be passed, some effort to try to regulate. Understand, the internet starts in the late 1990s. Social media doesn't come in until 3 and 6. The cell phone thing doesn't really explode until a little after that. We're just babes being handled computers and fancy stuff. And so, yeah, it's going to be awkward. That doesn't mean we won't get better. But again, these are tools, how to use them. And again, if we had better politics and better government, and I assure you that is not a partisan statement, the system itself is
Yeah.
destructive.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody out here who can't agree that the system right now is,
So if we had that, it would be easier to deal with the challenges of new technology. But right now, we can't even deal with the challenges of old technology. We can't even pass a budget. So other countries have different problems. I mean, every country has different reasons why they're really not able to do what needs to be done. We know what ours are. There are others that have very different challenges. But overall, as I pointed, fundamentally, at the core of all of our dilemmas lies the fact that we spent $150 trillion down the drain on zero sum, everybody's an enemy, defense, war, military, missiles, whatever, while our population increased by 6 more billion people. And that math isn't good. It's awful. And the outcome of that math is pretty predictable. Now, I'm happy to say this. You can't find a politician that will make the statement I just made. It's impossible. There are a few that have kind of gone there, but then they back off for a couple of years. Public figures just don't go there. They don't think that, well, for one reason, they don't want to scare the public and they think they'll lose their job. So people just don't talk about this. Certainly politicians don't. Thus, the American people.
That bothers me. That really bothers me. When you said that really bothers me. The fact that they don't, because they're funded and they're in there when they should be doing the right thing. It's like everybody's more worried if they're going to be reelected or how they're going to be viewed. But it's
that's
the
true
right thing.
All things.
Yeah.
There's reasons why they won't tell you this, but there's many. But one of them is they don't want to scare you. 2, they don't think you can handle it. 3, it could cost them a job or less funding, and so they just don't tell you. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists does what it can do, moves the clock a little closer. Some of the activists go to the extreme. Some of the climate dangers ahead have been overstated in order to get attention, to get money. This is a mistake, but I understand why it happens. And that tends to make it a little more difficult to come to common purpose on this. But the situation is dire. But you don't want to believe it, that's perfectly okay. I have nothing to gain by saying that. I don't have kids, wife, dogs, cats that I'm trying to take care of by putting out false information, or if I did have kids and so forth, I'd be even more anxious. I'd be much more anxious, and but probably more willing to then talk about it, because unless we change our ways, then the kids are pretty much screwed.
Oh yeah, this next generation. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, we've had. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what are your thoughts, since Elon Musk has kind of made himself a part of our government and decisions? What are your thoughts on his part in any of this, especially with SpaceX? Do you think he will be
the current activities of the present administration are political, partisan, and not my area of expertise, so I don't comment on it.
Okay. I just didn't know if Elon Musk would play a part. You just never know. So, who are the major, I guess, players in all this pushing forward, other than, I know you had talked about Joni Ernst before, and I'm just wondering other ones around.
The politicians, many politicians have dipped into the issue in our Congress. You've got Mason, you've got Lona, you've got Burchett, you've got Burleson, you've got Moskowitz, you've got Schumer, Rubio, Gillibrand, Browns. That's a lot. And there have been a few others that have dipped in, and they're dipping in important ways, including passing legislation. So that's good. And then in the outside of government, you've got a lot of retired or no longer active people who have great resumes, such as Elizondo and Mellon and Gallaudet and Nell and many others, and of course Grush, so forth. So there's a lot of gravitas there. So there are plenty of people that have really put themselves on the line. And if this issue wasn't so previously tainted and so controversial, probably would have generated a lot of action beyond even what we're seeing. But more are going to come forward, right? More are coming forward, I assure you, because the bar has been dropped, stigma's gone, and so it's hopeless to really think you can hold back this tide. And those that are clinging to the truth embargo within the management of the truth embargo, wherever that is, really it's a losing game. And maybe they just want to hold out as long as they can because they would rather not have to put up with the any criticisms or embarrassment or shame or whatever. Maybe they're just hardcore national security people that if we don't spend $1 trillion a year on military and defense, we're all going to die, as opposed to if we do spend it, we're probably going to die, whatever. But there are plenty of high-level people going all the way back to Keogh, a Marine Corps pilot, good man who came forward early on and said, clearly these are extraterrestrials. And they had to work hard to keep him under wraps. I mean, he did the best he could. And then since then, many people of substance, astronauts and so forth, have come forward and said it's true. But we haven't gotten disclosure, have we? Because it can't come from men. It has to come from the head of state.
So what is your thoughts? Does Congress have the security clearance to even get the correct intel?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It does.
Because I have heard that a couple different times that they did not have that.
No, not the whole Congress, but there are individuals in Congress who have very high security clearances. Now, one of the problems may be, are they being excluded from USAPs? Are there entities and programs out there that have been subtracted from the system? Unacknowledged special access programs seem to be candidates for that, meaning no matter what your clearance is, you can't get there because it doesn't exist. If that's true, then that's going to have to be fixed and some more laws passed. But they
took the black budget and they blacked it out, so now nobody knows even where the funding is going to. And a lot of question is, what is ours? What is our experimental crafts and technology out there?
Well, yeah, obviously. If we develop tech that we're using, it's still classified and we don't even know. All of the various scientific benefits that could be taken from this is not available to us until disclosure. They really can't sneak it in. They can sneak some things in, but overall, the big stuff. So again, the human race is being denied extraordinary tools, perhaps, and that the basis for that denial is just no longer stands up. So now it's become a huge liability, and in some respects criminal, and in some respects just stupidity. But it has to end. The truth embargo simply has to go. What can I say?
So this is probably the closest that you've seen it to disclosure.
Absolutely. Never been this close before. And if it wasn't for pretty much independent events, like the explosion of war in the Middle East, is an independent thing. The invasion of Ukraine had nothing to do with ET stuff. All right? The plague, the pandemic had nothing to do with ET stuff. And political upheaval, almost all of it that I can see, has nothing to do with the ET stuff. However, the political upheaval is opening a possible window because the regular rules don't apply anymore. People are wearing shorts in the Congress and Capitol Hill to events, and it's not out of the question that this president in this situation might very well just do it. And if he does, he'll get one of the greatest political legacies of history. He will be discussed forever as the president, the leader who was the first to finally tell the entire human race, all 8.3 billion, that this non-human presence is real and true, and the tech is real and true, and we have been engaged by them, and we're going to engage them some more. That leader will be discussed for, well, a long, long time. The second leader to confirm it, nobody will know that leader's name in 10 years.
You're right. Well, what do you think is stopping them from disclose? I don't really think it's the people. I don't really think they care that much about the people, to be quite honest. What do you think?
It hasn't been enough development within the legislation. Hasn't been enough consensus yet. It just hasn't reached a point of decision. And
so they want the hype.
For that are many. But overall, it's a collective decision inside government to do this, and we haven't reached that point. It's maybe later the historians, if they do massive interviews using AI or whatever, can come up and say, "Oh, here's what was happening." I can't describe what is the reason on any given day. The president just said, "Come out and do it," but there's probably 1,000. All I can do is paint the basic picture so people have a sense of it, and others may see an opening in the wall and go through and add a little punch to the process. I don't know. The activist's role is not to dominate or really demand, but primarily to inform and to lead in the sense that they're paying attention, they're letting you know what's going on, they will help point the way. Right? It's not like a charge out of the foxholes into the machine guns. No. Activism is complicated, but activism in this genre is really complicated and only just getting underway, frankly. But after 70 years of research and effort by citizens, so consequently, we don't need a lot of time to get the activist matter settled, fortunately, but still seems like a long time.
Have you ever thought about like a day of disclosure or something where you could get people around the world to out and pushing towards that matter? Have you thought about
getting
that?
people out on their feet? No, I
yeah, right. I know.
World Disclosure Day years ago.
Computer.
There's a website called worlddisclosureday.org. I picked July the 8th because July the 8th was the same day that the press release went out, right? And it's also which announced that we have a saucer, but July 8th is also the second conference or showing by Ramey that evening that no, it's just a weather balloon. And so I made July the 8th to be Disclosure Day. And I didn't have the resources to make a big deal out of it, but I put it out there. There's been some articles, but UFO Day, it had much more history behind it. So they said, you hear a lot about World UFO Day, and I forget what day they picked, but World Disclosure Day, I take it. And if disclosure happens, I will instantly go to that website and change the World Disclosure Day to that day. And I don't know, maybe do some things with that website.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be great. Are you kind of getting a database of the people in support? Because I think that's probably important.
Well, 5,000 people put in signed on to that, about 5,000, and then it kind of faded out. I still have that list. But this started years ago, so it had no chance of really going anywhere much. But it was just one little thing. I've done a lot of little things like that too. Kind of
no, I know you've done a lot for disclosure.
Much as I can.
I'm just wondering, like, what if you're. I know I started a local grass movement group, and I started a database with all the people, and that way I could send out messages when I needed to, or to get them out when I needed to. But I think that the community right now is they're ready to erupt. They're ready for this to happen too. They're ready for their truths to be told. They're ready for all of that I think at different times. So if you do have any sort of campaign or anything going on, please let me know, and I'd be happy to just.
New Paradigm Institute, which is much more funded than I am, does have some Citizens for Disclosure movement there. They've got some stuff you can do. So go to New Paradigm Institute. I'm limited in what I can do because I just don't have that kind of funding. But yeah, there's some citizen action agendas there. New Paradigm Institute. That's why they set it up. And if they get more money, they can set up even more agendas.
That's awesome. Okay,
and it's 501c3 tax deductible donations.
That's great. So what's going on with events this summer? I know that you're Contact in the Desert.
Contact in the Desert is going to be a very wonderful event, and I think set up nicely this time of the year. So it's going to be a little less intense. I'm going to have more time for people to enjoy the resort. We got about 63 speakers and panelists.
Oh, wow.
July 29 to June 2. And the
Where's that going to be
website is
held?
desert.com.
Contactinthedesert.com. And where's that going to be held at? The one that you're...
Well, it's in Indian Wells, south of Palm Springs, at the Esmeralda Renaissance Resort and Spa. What can I say?
I like that. The spa.
Nice.
That just, grabbed my attention right there.
You can talk to your favorite UFO researcher in a jacuzzi. Think about that.
Hey, that's like the perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine anything better than that. So what do you the Hollywood Alliance? What's going on the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance with that?
HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org is a nonprofit networking entity designed to bring people in the UAP world into the film industry world so they can make stuff. We don't make it. We don't participate in the deal. We just help them get together, and then they go and do what they want to do. But it's a networking thing, which is critical. And all the film industry people are putting their names and bios up to let people know that, I'm not afraid of the issue. We've got some pretty competent people that are in the industry on that list. One Oscar winner. We may get another one soon. And we've got about 100 of them and 100 of the UAP members. Many of you know. And you can go see all of that on HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. If you are in the film industry and into this issue, or you are into this issue and want to connect, get in touch with me or my partner, Dan Harari, through the website and consider possibly being a member. And we'll get back to you on that. We have 205 now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, you definitely have your hands in a lot of stuff. I know you had a situation. I don't know how much time you have left to get going, but I was wondering if there's any last thoughts that you have, or anything you want to leave people with until we meet again.
I would say pay attention to if you want to follow all of these developments on the Hill. The news is covering it all. And so if you go to paradigmresearchgroup.org, my website, or just Google Stephen Bassett, comes right up. And you go to projects ongoing, and then you go to Print Media Archive, you can go read them all. Say the last 7 years, or 7,000 articles about, they just show everything that's happening. The news is covering it. They're not backing off, and you can literally see it unfold in the news. So if you want to really get in, that's a cool thing. You could do that. But what I really, really need people to do is to take advantage of the fact that I'm now a nonprofit. There's some projects I'd love to do. I simply don't have the funds. I do not. From the day I started, I made several decisions. This is 30 years ago. One, I would never put up a paywall. And two, I would not sell merchandise. That it would be funded by supporters and speaking fees. But I didn't go nonprofit for many years for some reasons, but now I am. So I'm a 501c3. And so I just get about 25,000 as one major project I can do right away. And that's a serious conference in Washington, near the White House, on this subject. Nothing but UAP and disclosure speakers. This would be a pretty high-level deal. I've done many of these already. I know how to do it. But it's not something you can just do now and bootstrap it. You just can't do it that way now. We're at another level, so you've got to have seed funding. So if somebody drops about 2025 on me, boom, I'll launch that project immediately, and that will probably lead to other things. But that's one way people can help. There are so many people out there with huge, very large amounts of money. We know that. We have more millionaires in any country. We have, I think, more billionaires. But whatever. The point is that they give huge amounts of sums to all kinds of causes. And that's great, but not this. And the reason is the government's gone to great lengths to taint it, to make you afraid of it, to make you fear it will hurt you. And so they just don't do it. I get it, but we're in a new place now. It's a cool thing to do. I mean, you can obviously save the whales and the ocean and all that stuff, and there's plenty of candidates who would love to have millions of dollars, and they get it and need it. But this issue just doesn't get funded, and that really can change, but not yet. I'm hoping people will understand that this is the most profound issue in history, and if you're helping to make that happen, I think it's going to be a very self-satisfying and productive thing to do. You had all these.
So no merch. You're not going to sell any PR. You're not going to sell any PRG merch.
No.
merchandise?
And
No.
the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance is, but it fits to it. The way what it is, it's no problem. But not, I won't do it. I'm an
So
activist.
are you taking any donations on your site, or because you said that there was
Well,
nothing?
yeah,
Are
that's
you
what I'm
just
saying.
doing
I'm a
that on the?
501c3.
Okay.
I'm not going to have a paywall. I'm not going to sell merch. I have to get support, and it's tax deductible support if you're an American citizen.
Yeah.
And that's why I set it up. And yeah, there's a full donation section there. It's very professional, and I'm just hoping that somebody gets it and realize, wow, this is a big thing going down here, and here's how I can help. Now, some of these other organizations, they're looking for $1 million, and they'll get it, I think, and that's fine. I'm small. I don't need $1 million. I just need enough to keep making things happen and doing projects. That's where things are at now. Thank you for letting me put that out. Paradigm Research Group.
Oh no, yeah.
And the website is under construction. There's going to be a lot more added and changed there. So it's not, what is there is okay, but it's not organized the way I want it to fully. But that's coming too. So. But you get the idea.
Let me know when it is, and I'll get it up on our site, because I know I'd love to donate. Like I think that's a great cause. You do a lot. Whether people, you're not experiencers or whatever, nobody can deny the fact that you are done a lot and that you're pushing for this to come to light. And that's really important.
The donate button is at the top of every page. In the bottom, rather.
That's
at the
good.
top and the bottom.
Yeah.
All right, well, look, I've got to go. Gotta go, Nicole.
Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time. So yeah, and we'll definitely be in touch soon, and then get those links, and I'll have those up so other people who are watching can go and they know where to donate also. So yes, I'll talk to you soon then, Steve. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. You are part of the podcast army. We're going to get disclosure one podcast at a time, right?
Amen. Right. All right. Yeah, so we had a night of Stephen Bassett. He's going, I mean, the things that he's done and is doing is definitely going to help our community. We need to get this out there. We need the truth to go out there. And it's so important that everybody, I mean, even if we can't agree on all grounds, that we can come together and agree on this. So everybody's got unique parts to play. I know that the experiencers see this a bit differently. By how it impacted our lives and how it still impacts our lives. So I think the best thing is that it come out and that the experiencers definitely monitor that narrative. I don't want to hand that over to our government officials. That definitely will not get us anywhere, I don't think. So on behalf of SNX Radio, thank you everybody for being in the chat. To Mothman, and I got Michael, Anthony, Virginia. It looks like Cryptid and Paranormal Research. I mean, thank you everybody. Andrew Rollins, and I know I missed a few. If I did, I apologize. But yeah, thanks for everyone for being here tonight. And we will see you again next Friday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, thank you for taking the journey into the unknown with SNX Radio.
Let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this road we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, let the truth unite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise. together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand.
Spark ignites in the dark night glow. Flashbacks from the track, watch the past unfold. Got a story to tell of courage untold. Rise up from memories, watch us take control. Echoes of yesterday feed our fight. From shadows to light, we'll take flight. In this race, embrace our might. Hold our dreams, got the future in sight. Rise up high, let courage unbind. Erase the past, keep future in mind. Every step forward, no looking behind. We own this moment, leave fear confined.